lilac-breasted roller, all ruffled up. Warming up as much as it can on this cold morning. Look at all those colours. The cold winter mornings do provide us with great opportunities to get up close to these pretty birds that will often fly away on the warmer hours of the day but couldn't be bothered when it's this cold. Wonderful. I really would love to spend some time with the leopard before Nikki and myself head off on leave tomorrow. It's going to be our first proper 2-week break after many weeks of work. We have had a few short breaks, but we have yet to have our proper recharge. So really looking forward to a decent break. Typically how it works out here or in any bush environment is that you will work 6 weeks on and then have 2 weeks off. But that has not been happening so far. Anyway, before I do disappear for 2 weeks, it would be wonderful to spend some time with the leopard. So that's what I'm hoping for this morning, but in the meantime, there's this huge herd of impala off to our left that might be worth spending some time with. It could well be the same impala that Konyuma was trying to catch last night. We were very close to where we left him. And you could imagine with this many eyes and ears all trying to detect predators, how difficult the leopard's job could sometimes be. You'll see the male there who, like I said earlier, I think has missed the boat. But it'll provide him with some useful practice to keep chasing around these females and chasing off males. And hopefully next year's rutting season, which is already, well, this one's already come and gone, maybe he'll get lucky then. They are such pretty antelope, the impala. And I guess simply because of the supply and demand chain, they are sometimes overlooked. They are the most numerous of antelope in the Sabi Sands, and because of their high numbers, I think we might take them for granted. Well, good morning, Jennifer from Missouri. And while we sit and watch these impala clean themselves, I can answer Jennifer's question about tracking Jennifer noticed that it looked like I was driving straight over the leopard tracks or lion tracks after I had seen them. And yes, at some points we will drive over some of the tracks, but a lot of the time these vehicle tires are very narrow. It may appear that we're driving over them, but we'll typically be driving slightly off to the side of the road, which will leave the tracks behind. It's a tricky thing, driving over tracks or driving on top of tracks. Technically you don't want to, but a lot of the time you actually could be doing people a favor by driving over them, because it means, as long as you're following them, because that means it won't confuse people who may drive there the following day and not know how fresh they may be. And like we were discussing a little bit earlier, at this time of the year when there is so much fine dust on the roads, it can be even difficult to tell if tracks are old or new, even if they've been there for 2 or 3 days. Good question though, Jennifer, but what you all need to understand is that for us, tracking is very difficult because we are almost bound to the vehicle, and we cannot get off and track properly as we would, or as a tracker would, in a regular guiding environment. It's not uncommon for both guide and tracker to leave their guests on the vehicle alone. Most lodges have about a 10 or 15 minute limit that you should not leave your guests any longer than that for. But we're not about to leave you for 10 or 15 minutes. So don't worry about that happening. But it does happen when guests are out on safari, and tracking does take a lot of time and skill to do properly, and the tracking that we do is specially redesigned for the specific job that we are doing, which is to take you guys on safari. Okay, well, thanks for having us, Impala. The male continues to pester a female there, hoping she will give in to his seduction. And of course, there's a small chance that 1 or 2 females may mate later than expected and therefore give birth later than expected. But typically they'll all give birth within a 1 month period. We might have actually quite a nice low angle here, shooting up on this nut. She moved off. That opportunity came and went, sadly. In Ohio, and Angie would like to know if there have been any updates on Quarantine, which is a young male leopard who is the brother of the leopard that we had tracks of this morning in all likelihood, and the same leopard that we saw last night, Kunuma. And it was about a week or so ago that Quarantine was seen with an injury on his back. It looked like he'd been in some kind of an altercation, possibly with another male leopard. But I haven't heard anything, sadly, Angie. I don't think he's been seen much since then, and if he has been seen, I have not been aware of it. But I'm sure it'll be okay, so not to worry. It was just a flesh wound, really, and I'm sure he'll be on the road to recovery. It wasn't nearly enough for us to be concerned about that injury. It will be nice to see him again, though, and who knows, maybe he'll be waiting for us at at Twin Dams, which is where we're about to arrive now. We may have a small signal issue as we go through this dip. short-lived and don't go anywhere if the screen does crackle for a moment or two. Stop hiding from me. Well, I've just got a question through from 23 Skidoo. Welcome on board. 23 Skidoo would like to know whether we have seen or if there have been any reports of the Majingilana Coalition, which is another coalition of male lions. And again, not that I've heard of and not that I've seen. Pile of dung there that I was hoping to show you, but they disappeared. Sounds like everybody would like to know about where all the animals are and where they've been for the last few days. Heidi now in Zurich would like to know if we've seen Sindile, Shadow's cub. Nope, we haven't seen Sindile. I can't remember who was the last to see him and Shadow. But we are going to make our way into the area where we could possibly bump into them, where they have been spending a bit of time, Heidi. So hopefully they are going to, hopefully they will pop up at some point. But that is the plan, to head into an area where they have been spending more time recently. They've been evidently, well, Shadow's been moving further west, further east towards Juma, where she used to spend the majority of her time further west onto Arethusa. And there's a few different theories as to why she would be doing that. The main one, and the one that I agree with, is that the Anderson male, another dominant male leopard, is putting pressure on Tingana, which is Sindile's father. And if Anderson male was to come across Sindile, he would kill him. Therefore, you can understand why Shadow, the mother, wants to move her cub away from this potential threat of a new male leopard coming into the father of her cub's territory. Morning, guys. Can anybody copy me? get an update from the Arethusa guides, but I think I'm still a bit far away to copy them. Maybe there's some action on Arethusa that we can go and get involved in. Because right now there doesn't appear to be a whole lot going on Juma. Not simply because it doesn't appear that there's much going on, it's certainly not the case. But sadly at this stage none of us know where any of the animals are hiding. Opposite direction to we going. So I wonder what they knew about last night, what caused them to head here. I would love to follow the lives of hyena throughout the night and see exactly what they get up to every evening. It would be a very tricky business though, because they do move huge distances at quite a large speed. But it is something I wonder about every morning when we drive around and see their tracks on the road. They live very interesting lives, hyena. And I think a lot of their lifestyle is not very well known to us in this specific area. I would like to know how much do they rely on scavenging here in the Sabi Sands in relation to how much they hunt. And as we heard last night from reports from Joan about what was seen on the Arethusa waterhole camera, some hyena was seen hunting, chasing the water boats. So they do hunt, but I'd like to know just how much do they hunt in this specific area, because it does vary. The same animal, their behavior will vary greatly depending on whereabouts it is in Africa. And the hyena is one of those animals that will be able to adapt to its specific environment. And sadly, the majority of the time that we see them here is when they're at their den site, which is great because we get to see them and the bonds they have and interaction between other hyena, but we seldom see them doing their actual business out and about. Asking if Brent is responsible for breaking the other vehicle, and no, he's certainly not. But we can blame him just for fun. It's not the case, oh, we've had a change in fortune and it looks like our timing is right. This is going to be beautiful. We're going to have some great reflections Impala as they come down to drink. And for those of you who may have joined more recently on this morning's drive, just to remind all of you that sadly we are down to one vehicle, as our other vehicle is currently getting fixed. Well, not getting fixed, we're in the process of hopefully trying to fix it. It is not working as it should be. And another update is that if any of you may be joining for the first time, a very warm welcome. And just to let you know, you can all send questions through. It's really easy. You just hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. So send through your questions and we'll do our best to answer them. I haven't had my camera out for a few days, so it's a wonderful feeling to fire off a few more shots. And what a beautiful sighting this is. As I was saying, sorry, if any of you would also like to send questions, you just hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. Phil, if you don't mind just coming down onto this bird here that's just landed on the left. There's a very pretty bird that's just landed and is coming down for a drink. It's called an African Green Pigeon. Now look at this. Look at those incredible colorations and markings. And there's more coming down. So we've got lucky. These are really pretty birds that we don't see very often, only when they're sunning themselves on dead trees in the early hours of the morning, or when they're coming down to drink here at the water holes. They're typically very secretive and well-hidden birds, hiding up in the canopies of the fruit trees that they feed on. They've got those bright yellow leg feathers and a beautiful turquoise blue eye, but that may be a little bit far away for you to see. Absolutely wonderful. Off it goes. Up into the tree to continue basking in the sun and warming up. And it looks like the impala are trying to get this treacherous job of drinking water over and done with as soon as possible. They'll be very nervous when drinking, as they know they could be ambushed by a predator lying in wait nearby. And how wonderful are these reflections we're seeing. Absolutely beautiful. I just heard a parrot call. It would be wonderful if it also came down for a drink at the water's edge. Other than that, though, the bush is fairly still and quiet this morning. Well, welcome back to the Red Merlin, aka Diana. And it sounds like Diana used to watch a lot of the WildEarth safaris many years ago, but has been a little bit out of touch and would like to know whether Karula, a female leopard, is still around. And she certainly is, Diana. We don't see her as much as we would like to, but she is still in and around Juma, but tending to spend more time to the east and to the north. Her latest two cubs are called Kunyuma and Quarantine, and they are just over 2.5 years old now. She lost her last litter that she gave birth to after raising them to maturity, and one of the cubs was killed by a hyena. We're not sure what happened to the others before that, but her final cub was killed by a hyena late December last year. So she should have given birth again by now, but she hasn't. Not that we've seen, or not that anybody's documented. There have been various reports saying that she's been seen with suckle marks, others saying that she hasn't, but we're not too sure what she's up to at the moment. We haven't seen her for a couple of weeks, but we are seeing more of her daughter, Shadow, and Shadow's cub called Sindile, who's 8 months old now, and that's who we're going to look for now, Diane. So good to have you back, and stay tuned, and slowly you'll piece together the puzzle that you have now forgotten about. Oh, hold on, here's the parrot that's just come down to drink. It's going to be a bit far away, but worth having a quick look at. Further right. Further right. There. So that's the brown-headed parrot that we've heard letting off its very typical parrot-like shrieking call. So we've been lucky. Two of the flying green jewels that we see around here, the African green pigeon earlier, and now the brown-headed parrot, have graced us with some beautiful sights, and now another one joins the scene. Waterholes are all about timing. There's never going to be a constant flow of animals, maybe birds to a degree, but there's never going to be a constant flow to any of the waterholes in the Sabi Sands. There's simply too many of them. Well done, Phil. Therefore, I was very happy to see all the Impala coming down to drink, then the African green pigeons, now the brown-headed parrots. And half of me is tempted to stay here, but I know that there's never going to be a constant flow of animals coming in, so I think we just cash in now and carry on and see if we can get into a different area where we may be a bit closer to Arathusa, and I may be able to get a hold of the guides and see if they found anything interesting across there this morning.